Well, I don't know about you, but I had enough of high school the 4 years that I spent there, and I don't know why anyone would want to go back after getting out. But in Warsaw, Indiana, that is exactly what one man did. This March, for 2 weeks, Scott Green, a 33-year-old husband and father, suddenly turned into America's oldest high school sophomore. Scott is the director of youth ministries at Warsaw Community Church, located in northern Indiana, and he decided that after being out of high school for 15 years, he was really out of touch with the kids he was trying to reach. He wanted to experience everything a high school student does: the lockers, the homework, the peer pressure, and probably worst of all, the cafeteria food. So with his backpack in hand, Scott set off for an adventure not many adults would ever want to take. I, for one, would never, ever want to go back to high school after going through it the first time. So what made you decide to actually go back and experience that all over again?
Yeah, as a youth pastor, I sit with kids all the time at a coffee shop, at McDonald's, talking about their life. And I have found myself just over the years, saying, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've been there. But it's been 15 years since I've been there. And I've been discovering that I don't know what their life is like. And so I thought, what better research than to actually go sit in the seats that they sit in, to see what they see, to eat what they eat, and to walk through class with them and be a part of their world for a couple weeks. And I just knew that to be a part of their world, this was what I needed to do. To really dig in, this is what I needed to do.
So what was the reaction of your friends and family when you told them that you were going back to high school?
Yeah, when I started telling people that I was going to go back to high school, everybody said, are you joking? What are you thinking? The funny thing is, when I told my wife, she just went, yeah, okay, whatever. But a couple weeks after we kind of started working the details and making this thing happen, she realized that I was actually going back to high school for 2 weeks. My first day was hard. I mean, I'm walking through the hallways with nothing more than a classroom number and a teacher's name and trying to figure out where to go. But kids were very helpful. They showed me where to go. They showed me what I needed to do, helped me get my books. But at the end of the first day, man, I was tired. I mean, I was exhausted after just going. And that's what I've discovered that a lot of these kids go through. I mean, it wasn't just my first day. Their days are long, and they're not able to make choices with their time like we are. And so they're from 7:40 until 2:40. They're not in control of their schedule. And so they have to be at a certain place at a certain time all day long. And so it does get very tiring. And my first day was a perfect example of that. It was difficult.
What do you think this emotional stress day in and day out that the students experience will do to them?
I think the ongoing stress day after day that they go through, I think in a positive way, it teaches them how to handle stress, and it teaches them how to deal with stress. In a negative way, some of the pressures that they're under are a little unrealistic for a 15 or 16-year-old kid to be experiencing. For us as adults, I mean, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, our body is ready for that. Our mind is ready for that type of stress. Emotionally, we're ready for that type of stress. But some of the stress these kids are under, they're not yet ready to experience this. And so we don't know what the long-term effects are of some of this stress that they're under as a 15, 16-year-old. Matter of fact, we won't know until 10 or 15 years down the road when the negative consequences of that show up in their life. In conjunction with my going back to school, we also set up a survey online to allow kids to anonymously go and answer some questions. And that, so far, is providing us with some of the most insight that we've gotten. In that, like 30% of the kids who filled out that survey said that in the last week they have felt hopeless, which just tears me up. That they're walking the hallways, they're going home in the afternoon, and they feel hopeless. Kids are indicating, I think 10%, 8 to 10% of our kids have contemplated suicide or doing physical harm to themselves in the last week. 10%. That goes right along with this feeling of hopelessness. And so they don't know who to turn to. They don't know that people are out there caring for them. And unless we go and tell them, they may never know. That's what amazed me about the kids welcoming me. I think once they realized that I didn't want anything from them, that I was simply there to care for them, I think it struck a chord with them. And they said, wow, here's somebody who cares I'm going to let this guy in. I'm going to accept this person.
So what was the most difficult thing you experienced within those 2 weeks?
The most difficult thing for me probably during this 2 weeks was dealing with my own insecurities. I mean, I'm a 33-year-old standout weird guy at a high school. You know, fifth period I'm in my PE uniform and kids are lapping me in class, and so getting over some of my insecurities was probably the hardest part. And you know what? It's no different than any other high school kid here. Every one of them has insecurities. We all deal with it. But I had to choke down a lot of that for 2 weeks.
Scott's 2 weeks back experiment not only changed his perspective on things, but it had a huge impact on teachers and students as well.
I think it was a lot of fun. We all learned something from it. There were tears shed in the classroom the last day, so it was a very meaningful experience for everyone, I think.
I think it's just great what he's doing, and it was just really wonderful, like the way he interact with, with us as students, and he just came down to to our level and just talked to us we would understand. So yeah,
he was late a couple times, but he did really good. His projects and stuff were really cool to hear because he has a kid and he's married, so we all were it was just fun to hear about it.
I think anytime you have a change in routine, it allows you to be a better teacher because you're thinking even more so what you're doing in the classroom.
My career as a youth pastor will be marked by this experience, and not just by what I learned. It'll be marked by the kids that I sat with. I was exposed to, 1,500 new kids, new friends, really. I was kind of bummed out on my last day of school because I made some new friends, and so, I'm excited about whatever fruit that provides, long-term down the road, if any. I will forever give kids a lot more slack and a lot more grace. I think before this experience I was pretty gracious with kids, but I will be a lot more gracious now that I understand the time demands, the pressure, the stress that really is on their life, and I'll be a lot more gracious from now on.